We are an interconnected society. We ride the subway together, we walk the streets together, we send our kids to school together. If some of us are really struggling and not surviving, it affects all of us.
Street vendors,
sex workers.
These are young people, veterans.
Anyone who's been a victim of intimate partner abuse.
People with serious mental illness.
There are millions of working poor New Yorkers who are struggling to survive.
Really good, hard-working people just caught up in this tidal wave.
Where do they turn? How do they understand the system? They have no place to go.
A lot of these people have spent decades battling the system.
A system that almost seems designed to do exactly the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
There is a big gap between how the society lays out the law and how the law works.
The law is very difficult to understand.
You can't afford an attorney in New York City.
They're in crisis.
They're at their wits' end.
Anything involving the system and going to courts and all can be scary and intimidating.
We are not portraying in our laws things that we stand for, which is the American dream.
The story of the Urban Justice Center really starts in 1984. The only office I could find and afford was a burned out building in East Harlem. I set up legal clinics and soup kitchens and started talking to homeless people. I saw injustice after injustice, and it gave me an opportunity to bring lawsuits and then ultimately expand the work.
We're there to provide non-judgmental civil legal representation and social services.
We have to do a lot of education and training, not only to government officials, but also to organizations that are our allies.
Outreach is a key component.
What we ultimately try to do is to provide them with the tools to actually define their life.
Where the government did fail, or where the government did not put their money or the idea or the people to defend the people, that's where we're spending it.
At the Urban Justice Center, we represent people that nobody else does, nobody else wants to. And part of that reason is because they're the hardest people to represent.
We don't just meet clients in the office. We try to go out and meet the most vulnerable people where they are.
We run our legal clinics in these food pantries and soup kitchens as free legal clinics, first come, first served.
They'll come in, they'll sign in, they don't have to present any ID, there are no income limitations.
They're threatening me with eviction processes.
And then we go ahead and use the legal system to try and resolve those issues for them.
You're trying to do it by yourself and you don't know where you're going. I need a lawyer because I'm not a lawyer.
Clients are comforted by someone who is an attorney.
When we see he is a president, he used to be a lawyer. He's the executive of a company, he used to be a lawyer. So we think that lawyers are people that can think. And also they stand for something.
The law can be one of the most powerful tools of change and empowerment.
Often the best way to sort of serve the larger interest or the collective interest of your client is through broader advocacy.
Workers in a restaurant are being paid $2 an hour. So they say to the employer, hey, that's not legal, you can't do this. And then all workers get fired. What recourse do they have?
The Urban Justice Center helps to support the organizing campaigns of groups like the Chinese Staff and Workers Association to fight for better working conditions.
My boss never pay overtime and never pay down to the minimum wage. They force you to work in 13, 12 hours.
Emotional, psychological abuse.
Grassroots organizations throughout the New York City area are doing fantastic work to organize workers to fight for better working conditions.
We, as organizers, we're not lawyers.
If you have the lawyer behind you, it really empowers the organizers to know that, we have to go to the mat, we will, and we'll win on this case.
We are there with the client, and there is somebody who knows the law and knows the process, represents that client like the best law firms in the world would represent their clients.
Urban Justice Center was involved in a landmark case just a few years ago and really sent a message throughout the Chinatown community that this sort of practice will no longer be tolerated.
We feel that it's important to do both individual advocacy and systemic advocacy.
Ed called up and said, I just lost my food stamps, and I think what happened to me was completely illegal.
We were dealing with all of these individual clients who were having difficulties after they applied for food stamps. They weren't getting them.
Well, I rely on my food stamps because I only get one check on the first of the month from Social Security. They didn't want to give me anything but $10. What am I going to do with $10? I definitely can't eat for a month.
And it turned out that hundreds of thousands of people might have been affected.
We see a systemic problem that we can go into federal court with so that we can get the problem resolved for every food stamp applicant in the city.
We won retroactive food stamps for tens of thousands of people, and the total retroactive award was over $12 million.
It was not far before Christmas, and it was kind of like a Christmas present too, you know.
The point of this lawsuit is that it did push them towards changing their entire system.
This was like a gift from heaven.
Because we have so many projects under one roof, we have much more expertise.
It is tremendous to be able to turn to someone in another project and say, I know you're an expert on food stamps. I have a client who has a food stamp issue.
It's all here under one roof at the Urban Justice Center, and so we really have that synergy of being able to offer so much in one place to all of the clients that we work with.
They get virtually complete freedom in running the project. And when you give somebody that kind of ownership, they will use all their energies and skills and creativity to do a terrific job.
I think when the economy is bad, folks on the margins are even more marginal. I mean,
the differences between eating and not eating, having housing and not housing.
I don't have any alternative. I don't have an out. Where am I going to go?
Not helping this population is not helping a huge portion of our constituents, of our people.
As a society, we really shouldn't let that happen. We can't let that happen.
Until we fight for the rights of everyone, we're really, none of us, secure in the rights that we have.
Time goes on and you actually can see progress. You can actually feel that progress. And it's one of these places where you can feel that hope and that excitement on an almost daily basis.
I appreciate everything they've done more than you can imagine, because there's not too many places somebody like me can go to.
They know which way to go. They know the right steps to take to get to where you need to or you want to go.
I have renewed confidence, like I can speak about these issues and that there are a few souls out there who understand what I'm going through.
They want to fight on. They want to make a positive contribution, and with our help they can.
This is what makes the fabric of the world that you live in. Even though you think you're not touched by it, you're touched by it every single day.